Okay, so from here, I will simply go to file, so, and open a folder. So let me create a new folder inside my document folder and open it. So I go to documents, can create a new folder. Yeah, I will call it like Dera. So, and I will select that folder. So from this point, my folder is empty. I don't have any file here at this point. So I will rather create a file. So to create a file for HTML, files created in HTML have a file extension of .html. So an easy way of creating a file is to come here and hit new file. So a new file will have a .html extension. Let me say the name of the file is first. I will say first.html. So you can see this symbol for HTML is here, showing us that you are working with a HTML. So I will hit enter. Yeah, I can have my file like this and we are ready. Okay. So now HTML makes use of what we call tags. Okay. Let's say
Yeah.
I come here and I do something. I type welcome to your first HTML class. So I will save it. So if I right click, I have installed what we call live server in my system. So live server is an extension. You can always get extensions by clicking here. When I click here, I can actually see extensions. So there's an extension called live server. So I have saved it. I have installed it here. You can see it is installed. Okay, it's installed here. So I'm not going to install it again. So if you don't have it in your PC, you can always install it. So what live server helps me to do is to make sure that I can easily run my file directly to the browser by right clicking, and I will say open in live server. So this is going to open a live server and you can see on the browser here written welcome to HTML. Okay, so I'm going to close this part now so that you can have a better screen. So I can always open and close it. Okay, welcome to HTML. But we'll not be writing this thing like this. Our HTML makes use of, there is a format we use to write HTML. So I'm not going to be writing my text like this and all that. So I'm going to delete this and I will put up my format. So there's something called Emmet. Emmet is EMMET. So Emmet is an abbreviation that we can use to write a code in HTML. So Emmet, if I want to write the initial setup for HTML, I will use the Emmet abbreviation. All right, so the Emmet abbreviation is exclamation mark. Once I put exclamation mark, you can see it written here, Emmet abbreviation. And this is what it is going to bring out for me in my Emmet abbreviation. So I'm going to explain this once I hit enter. Okay, fine. So you can see that with the exclamation mark, I've been able to bring out this entire tags here now. Okay, so this entire
Yeah.
tags here, let me close back my live server and reopen it. Right click, open with live server, and also you can see that my live server is listening to port 5500. and it has an IP address of 127.0.01 by 5500 slash first HTML. So that is the port it is actually listening to, the virtual port. So this thing here now is what we call the setup, initial setup of a HTML file. Okay, so what does it mean? What you are seeing here is called tags. So this is a doc type tag. This is a HTML tag. You can see written HTML. This is a head tag. This is a meta tag. This is also another meta tag, and so on. This is a title tag and all that. Okay. So what does this thing really mean? Now, look at the title tag. The title tag is simply the title of my document, which is the title we are seeing here. So this thing is written document here. Okay. But if I change the document now to something else, I will have it written what it is. I can say welcome there. I will save. So once I save it, because I'm on a live server, if I save and I come here, this thing has already been saved. Can you see that it has changed it to welcome there? Okay.
Yes.
So that is one good thing that the live server can do for us. Okay, to update our code very, very well. So this is the title. So what you are seeing here is the title, and that is the title that has just come up now. Okay. So what does doc type mean? Now, HTML has different versions. Doc type, for the current version we are working with now, is HTML version 5. And in HTML version 5, a lot of new elements were introduced. So for me to be able to make use of those new elements and be able to signal to my browser, hey, that I'm actually working on HTML version 5. This doc type is very important that it appears on the as the first thing that I have in my HTML. So we don't need to memorize this thing. As you see, what I just did is to put exclamation mark and all these things come out. So I don't need to be typing them manually. Do you understand? Now, another thing, the next one again is the HTML itself. Okay? Hope you are with me.
Yeah, me too.
Is the HTML itself. So the HTML is what you call the root element. The root element. So when we say the root element, every element that I'm going to write, anything I'm going to write within this thing will fall within the HTML. So everything I'm going to write, even if I'm going to do JavaScript tomorrow, whatever that I'm going to do must fall within this HTML. It is my root element. Okay. So you also see the importance of this root element when we start doing CSS, because that is also what we use in doing our CSS. All right. So now our root element has a language of what? EN. So EN stands for English. I could have put FR if my document is written in French. I would have said ES if it's written in Spanish, and so on and so forth. But it's in English, you say EN. So what is the advantage of having this lang attribute here? Now, I call this lang an attribute. What does it mean? I call this HTML a tag or an element. Then I call the lang an attribute. So attribute is what you put inside an element in order to give more meaning to that element. Okay, so most attributes have a property. Like this attribute lang has a property of EN. There are some attributes that don't have a property. Okay, so we will also see some of those. I don't have anyone here now, but in subsequent this thing, we also see a lot of some attributes that don't have a property. We call those kind of attributes Boolean attributes. Boolean. So they're almost like saying something is true or something is false. So, but this has a property of what? En. So this thing helps your browser to dictate that what you are typing in, or this document that I have here, is written in what? In English. Okay. Now, what's the advantage? If somebody that is in France or Ivory Coast, a French-speaking country or a Spanish-speaking country, tries to go through that browser or through that domain name, and the person opens the site and say, hey, this thing is in English, what will happen is that the browser of that person will pop up, or maybe Google will pop up for what? Translation. Because you have already specified that this thing is English. And then the location where the person is opening it from is not an English-speaking country. So it will pop up what? Translation, to ask the person, do you want this page to be translated to what? English. Let's look for example. Let's say I visit a site like Le Monde FR. Le Monde FR is a French website. So if I visit a site like that, okay, and it is French, next thing is I will actually notice it will pop out. So let me just make it a full screen. It can pop out something for me. So they'll continue. I pop out something for me and be asking me to translate. Would I like this page to be translated for me? So everything I'm seeing here is in English, is in French. So let me try to, okay, my translate is not actually giving me anything for now. Probably it will still give it to me. So, but let's say I want to show you something here. I can right click and inspect elements. When I come here, can you see that this thing is telling me that lang here is what? French. Can you see?
French.
FR.
Yes.
You can see that. Okay. So it's supposed to pop out translation for me, but I think the reason why it is not doing it is probably because the sites also have a column for English. So if I want to go to the English this thing, I can also come here. So when I come here, I have switched to English. So if I inspect that element again, I will now see that the language has changed back to English. So this is very, very important that we learn how to do that. Okay, so it's very important. For now, it doesn't make sense for us to change it, since it is very necessary. So even if I remove it, it doesn't do anything. The only thing is that my browser will not be able, or my search engine will not be able to dictate for me the language it is working with. So when you go to the head section, a lot of things happen within this head section. Now, notice this elements HTML, it starts from here and it ended here. So this one is called the opening tag of this element, whereas this is the closing tag. So it opened here and it closed here. And that means all these things here, the body, the head, it nested it, they are all part of it. So you can see that the head opened here and closed here. It did not close here because it is inside the HTML. So that is why it opened here and closed here. Okay. So it has an opening tag and a closing tag. Okay. It is not every element that have opening tag and closing tag. There are some elements that we call dead elements. So they don't have a closing tag. Example, meta. There is no place that meta close. If you look closely here, you can notice that the difference between this opening tag of head and the closing tag of head is that there is a forward slash here. You see that? So this forward slash is the difference between this opening tag and the closing tag. But we don't have such thing here. If you happen to do a language like React, you see that it is very, very important that we close even our dead elements. So I should have come here and put something like a slash to say that this element started here and ended here. But irrespective that I do that, I don't do it here now. It doesn't amount to an error. But if it were React, it is very important that you put it, otherwise it will create an error. So meta tag, the first meta tag we see here is chasset meta tag. So chasset means character sets, okay? So which is character encoding, okay? Which characters does it accept? Does it accept every character that I put up there? Character can also include things like emojis. So I have right to type emoji in my document as far as this thing is concerned. So I can do something like this, okay? Can come here and select any emoji that I want, and then I can always be able to put them up. Okay, so if I do that, save, I can actually see it in my browser that these elements are, these emojis have come up here. So that is because I'm using the highest character set, which is UTF-8. Okay, we have had UTF-6, UTF-4, which doesn't accept some characters, but this accepts virtually most of the characters. Okay, so it has a compatibility mode, also a meta tag. So you can write an element more than once, it doesn't matter anyway. Okay, so it has a compatibility mode for Edge. It's telling us that IE is equal to Edge. IE stands for Internet Explorer. Now, unfortunately, Internet Explorer doesn't exist again. Finally, Microsoft have removed their license of Internet Explorer. So it's not expected that anybody using Internet Explorer will be able to browse. You can't browse again with Internet Explorer. So, but what this thing is telling us here is that there are some things that you want to open in Internet Explorer and you will not be able to open it. Okay, so but Microsoft has a newer browser called Edge, which is Edge. This is Edge here. I'm using Edge here. You cannot see it. This in another screen anyway. So Edge replace. So what it's telling us here is Internet Explorer is the same thing as Edge. So whatever content that I can view on Edge, it means I should be able to view that on Internet Explorer. So that is what it means here. So this thing might cut off and reconnect again, but no problem. All right, so we have a viewport here. Viewport here is just a way of scaling everything we are doing to be on the same port. Okay, to be on the same port. All right, so it's saying that the viewport, so we are not going to change anything here. So let's leave it at initial scale of 1.0. All right, and then we have our title element, which is what I've explained, what comes out at the title of your browser, which says welcome there. So for majority of this class, you'll be working inside the body. Anything that you are doing within the body is what is going to show on the browser instead. So you'll be seeing me working a lot within the body. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So enough of all those things. Let's get down to the body. So every element, if you go back here, every element you are seeing, everything you are seeing in this place is tagged an element. If I right click and look at this thing now, I can actually see that this guy is, I can see different elements. I can see a title called H1. I can see paragraph for things that are paragraph. So if I do this, I should be able to view a lot of things. Okay, I can see a paragraph here. So if I inspect this element, it should be able to tell me that it's a paragraph, and then it has a class of article description, and I can see some lists. If I go here, I can see some lists that these things are lists and everything. So that is what we are going to be seeing in this class. So first of all, how do you make a title? So to make a title, I will simply type H1. Now we have a lot of headings. We have H1 to H6. So, but H1 is a title. Now, most time, H1 is the title of my document. If I open any document, the title of that document is what you may be seeing in H1. So I can say something like, welcome first class in HTML. So this will now form as my distance. So you can see it is a block heading, and I can call that H1. Now I have other headings. If I have subheadings here, okay, like I will call that subheading H2. So what is H2? I can say H2 can be a subheading of our first class. I can say introduction to HTML. So this is H2. So I'm also permitted to have another H2. I can start to have another H2 called what? I can say multimedia. So notice how I'm typing this H2. I'm not typing it by starting with this tag. I'm not doing that. I simply type H2 and I will hit enter. You can see that it's telling me that the Emmet abbreviation, this H2 that I type is an Emmet abbreviation that will give me this. So I will simply hit enter and then this will come out. You can see HTML tables. And I can come here and do another H2. And I can see HTML forms. Okay. So when I save, I can actually see my headings appearing here. Now, we are always encouraged to do what? That our first heading, H1, appears only once in a document, on a page. I should not have H1 appearing more than once because that H1 is like a title. Why should I have two titles in a page? So I shouldn't have H1 appearing more than once in a page. It is always advisable that my H1 should appear once in a page. Then other subheadings can appear more than once. So within this H2, I can also say that I have another subheading inside it. I can say I have another subheading inside this one too. So there are better ways that I can group these things. I already have this thing as my H2. I can say that I will put a section here. Now, section has an limit of set, and I will put this H2 inside it. Okay, so let's say within this H2, I have an article, and then the article are 3. So I will say art, which is the emit for article. I can say times 3, which is the emit for what? Having 3 articles. I will say greater than H2. So it means on each article, I'm having a H2. No, I cannot say a H2. Let me say a H3. In each article, I'm having a H3. So let's say this title is what? Text fundamentals. I hit tab. This one will be what? List. This one will be what? Can say advanced text. So you can see that this appears lighter than this. appears lighter than this, and it appears lighter. So I will do the same thing here. Again. Okay. Are you understanding what I'm doing?
Yes.
I have a section, and inside that section, I have a heading. After that heading, I have 3 articles that have their own heading. And then their heading is a subheading of this H2. So that is why I have to give them H3, H3, H3. So I can come inside multimedia, and I say multimedia will be a section on its own. So I will put a set, and then I will move it inside that set. And as I did the other one, I will create 3 articles that will have H3. So I can call this images, can call this audio and videos. I will call this objects and embed. So this thing that I'm creating like this will definitely help me anytime I want to style my elements. So we have seen how to create a heading, H1, H2, H3. Another very important thing is I can also do a paragraph. So for a paragraph, I'll have to put a P. And for most times in this class, I'll be using what is called dummy text. So what is dummy text? Instead of thinking out on me trying to type out something, I can simply say lorem. Lorem is an image that can help to give me a dummy text. So whenever I type it, I can have dummy text there. Say P, lorem. So I believe in this class, we have been able to do what? We have been able to learn how to create the initial starting point of our HTML, and then do some other things like creating headings, articles, section,